All right. Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Resilient Voices, the podcast where I sit down and talk to brave women who've changed and transformed their lives. And today I have a woman with me from Denmark, a woman that's really transformed her life, made a big change in her life, a financial journalist that really got into some challenging moments but they were life transforming, and we're going to hear more about that. So with that said, welcome, Beile Grünbaum. Is that how we pronounce your name?
Grünbaum, yeah.
Grünbaum. So welcome to Resilient Voices.
Thank you for the great opportunity. Yeah,
Yeah, so great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, and the whole idea of this podcast is to inspire other women to with our stories and our experiences, because I'm a firm believer that sharing our stories is where we grow and where we can actually both ourselves by sharing our stories and with the learnings that we had from them, but also that other women will grow from listening to them and get inspired by it.
Yeah, and I'm coming into this with three main things that I'd really like to communicate to other women that we'll talk more about.
Yes.
So one is taking back power of your own fertility, because part of my story is becoming a single mom at the age at 40 and 43. The second one is how your mind is really like creating your life. And I had this moment where I realized, oh my God, my mind is going crazy. It's asking these questions that I have to change. And the third one is taking power over your finances, because that's so important in leading a great life. We never know what's going to happen in our life.
No.
So it will take these, like one of my professors at university said, he said, your life is going to take its own detours. Like you think you've got it all planned, but then, oops, somebody gets sick in your family or you get fired. And in order to handle those situations, it's so important that you've got a financial buffer. So those are the three things: taking charge of your own fertility, taking charge of your mind, and taking charge of your finances. And so we'll get so much more into that.
Yeah, so excited. So I will take our listeners back a bit. You were a successful financial journalist back in Denmark, living the dream. You had a successful career that you dreamt about. And then you started to sort of feel like you were longing for something more and looking around, and you could not really sort of relate to the people you were working with in the industry. Is that right? Is that
so the backstory here is that I really wanted to be a journalist, a newspaper journalist, which was a big thing back then. Newspapers it's kind of a dinosaurs now, but it was a big dream. Yeah. Making headlines, making front pages, hearing your own story in the other media. It was just like, wow, it was such a rush. And I did that. I became a financial journalist, a news journalist for the biggest newspaper in Denmark, called Jyllandsposten, the Jutland paper. Jutland in Denmark is where the part of Denmark where you have a lot of agricultural industry. So it sounds very down to earth, but it's a very big paper. Yeah. And I covered banks during the financial crisis. So big deal. And as the financial crisis sort of waned off, we weren't that much in alert anymore. I could see that I was going to turn 40 one day. I didn't have a boyfriend. I didn't have any kids. And it was starting to get at me. So I started playing with the idea of having a child of my own with fertility treatment. And back then, my oldest son is now 12. So this is 13, 14 years ago, almost 15, because it takes a while to get pregnant sometimes. And so I started playing with the idea. And, when talking with people about this, I got a lot of reactions. Yeah. Oh, but children need a father. Someone really close to me in my family said exactly this. No, a child needs a father. And I was like struck by this. But, this is somebody else's opinion. So I asked her, what did you do in order to? And it turns out that she was married for so long with someone who was an alcoholic who she no longer loved until the children moved away from home, just because of this idea that a child needs a father. So, and I thought that was really sad. And I was like, okay, I'm really glad that I asked some questions, like, because that's her world. That's not my world.
Yeah.
But I felt like, oh, she was almost taking my dream away.
Yeah.
But diving into what's behind this really, like, and that's one thing that I took away from that. Really ask people questions. When they say something, it hurts you or it scares you, figure out what's in their world, what's going on.
Yeah.
Might not have anything to do with you. So, yeah. So I went into fertility treatment and I got pregnant. And first, of course, obviously you have one. Maybe you might have two, but I had one child on my own, which was a big adventure, of course, in itself. And already then my troubles with work started. I was demoted when I came back. I was told I had to start from scratch. And
how long did you stay on maternity leave?
Well, in Denmark, you can stay around a year. So I stayed maybe 10 months, I think.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's tough.
It's very tough.
To be demoted after such short period of time.
Yeah.
It's something that you're entitled to, really.
But, you know, it was a world of mainly men.
Yeah.
And very few women with children. And definitely no single women in the newsroom. Like, it didn't exist. Yeah. And also, it's a very conservative place. This slightly right-wing newspaper. And so, that happened. And also, I felt like they put up barriers. For example, shortly after coming back, and I was still partly breastfeeding, I got a 1 week night shift. So for a whole week, I had to stay at the newspaper during the night. And, you know, I was a single mom, so I was like, can we make it every second night or 3 days? Like, and they were like, no, everyone has to do it. It's the rule. And they just set this up. Like, I almost felt like, not to be paranoid, but they set it up to like be sure there could be no single moms ever. Like, I was like, can we be a bit flexible about this? And they were like, no. So that was super tough. Like, it was so tough getting back. Things like this. And then I decided, because one of the emotions I really felt was a lot of sadness. Like, this is the last time I'm going to be pregnant. This is the last time I'm going to breastfeed. This is the last time I'm going to see a child walk, like my child walk. I really wanted another child. So secretly, I went into fertility treatment again. And obviously that was like super difficult. It was like lying to go to the fertility because you have to be there at a certain time, right? You have your cycles and all that. So I was like lying, like I have to go to whatever. I just made up stories because I couldn't tell them I'm going into a fertility clinic.
I'm going to have another child.
Yeah, it's completely impossible. Yeah. And then I was pregnant again. Yeah. And he did not like that at all. So I was called into, you know, how every organization has the top floor with the glass offices.
Oh, yeah. Oof.
Yeah. So I was called into that office with someone from the top management and the board and a union representative, like 4 people around me, 4 men also, and a big stomach. And then my boss, he put this graph in front of me and he said, I was not performing to standard. So it had this graph. So I had to make 2 articles per day, which was easy. I mean, I could do that. I could count to 2, you know. Didn't say which kind of articles, but I could definitely keep up. I could even put out 3 or 4. It's not a problem. So it's like, I'm not sure that I put out more than 2. So I was like, let me look at this graph. And then I saw it went down over Christmas, where I was on vacation. I had like 2-3 weeks over Christmas. And it went down also when I was on this kind of education I had to go on. Yeah. So it's like, but I wasn't working here. And he said, well, the stats count even for leaves. We cannot. Then he said, we cannot have people who leave for months. And I was going on maternity leave. I was like, wow, you know. And that was a verbal warning. So you get a verbal warning, you get a warning in writing, and then you're fired. And I was talking to these people. There was even a union representative who also worked at the paper. So he was also, you know, caught in this environment. And I was like, we are all journalists here. So if we saw a company treat their employees like this, and especially someone who's pregnant, we would write it. I mean, that would be news. How can this even happen? And they were all in on it. They were like, no, this is how we do it. No, we cannot have people who leave for so long. You have to keep up the stats of 2. Like, even on vacation, they were like, yeah, then you have to plan your vacation.
Average, so then you before and after you need to produce more.
Exactly. So monthly it's gonna be like that means you can only go on 2 weeks, and then you have to really be productive. Like, what a mess. So what happened? I had one more child, obviously, and he's actually sitting right out here.
Yes.
And so when he was still small and completely dependent on being breastfed, I was fired. So, which was obviously like, I could kind of see it coming, but I really didn't think they would do it while I was on maternity leave.
Yeah.
So that was a big shock, a huge shock. And so now I was with a 2-year-old and a baby, and I was fired. And I went from being, kind of really happy about becoming a mom again, because it was really hard for me to have the second child. My fertility had gone down between, I was 40 and then 43 when I had the second one. So it was really a miracle that I had him. And then I just fell into this pit of like, I call it like a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Of really negative thoughts. So I was fired as part of a package where they had to cut savings, they had to cut expenses, so they fired more than me. And that's how they could fire someone on maternity leave.
Yeah, because otherwise I would say that that's illegal.
Exactly.
Illegal, but it's not according to labor legislation.
Yeah, but if you do
in
it
Denmark
as
anyway.
If you do it as part of a package with more people, then you can get away with it. So, and when I looked at the other names, I felt like I didn't belong in there because I was really good at what I did. And sometimes you cut away some of the older people who aren't performing. And I thought to myself, well, I was definitely performing. Why did I? So then they started these thoughts. Why me? Why did I get fired? Why me? That's so unfair. Why am I being treated unfair? So it's like
the victim spiral. That's part of that.
Yeah. Am I ever gonna get a job again? Yeah. How am I going to support my family? And even how are we going to survive? So it just went down and down and down.
Wow.
And this is on top of having 2 small children. And one had this, in Danish it's called bronchitis or bronchitis. Like it's a
bronchitis.
He was suffering from this kind of cough, and sometimes we had to go to the hospital, and it was always in the middle of the night. And I had a baby.
It's like false croup, I think.
Yeah, So I was sitting with him because then he has to sit up. Yeah. He needed ice cream in the middle of the night, and a baby, of course. So I was so tired, and I remember the time they called me to say that I was fired. I woke up to 17 calls because they have to tell everyone who's fired before they go into work. So no one gets nervous at work. So they sent out this message, and they were really having a hard time reaching me because I had been up like, I don't even know, like 15 times during that night. One coughing, one needed breastfeeding, and so it was so tough. And so these questions happened in a very tired mind as well. So I was crying. I even started thinking about death, not as something I would like want to do. Like I was not in any way suicidal, but I was just thinking, maybe it was better if I was dead. Like, I mean, the feelings were so tough for me. Yeah. And that really scared me. So I was like, okay. What's going on here? Then I noticed that whenever I went into these, like, just felt like I was being sucked down, it was questions. Yeah. My mind was asking me questions, and I was searching for negative answers because they were negative questions. Why me? Why am I treated so unfairly? How are we ever going to survive? And just down and down and down. And then I remembered something that Tony Robbins had once said. I went to, I forgot what it's called, but one of his seminars in London.
Unleash your power within.
Yes,
probably.
Yes, that's it. And he says, the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask yourself.
And your thoughts, obviously. Yeah.
And what?
And your thoughts.
And your thoughts. So that leads from
but that's
because your mind is asking you questions, and that those are your thoughts. Yeah. If you notice how we're thinking, we're very often thinking in questions. Yeah. Questions and answers. It's like searching. It's like a machine that's always searching. So if you're giving it something bad to search for, you're going to get really bad answers.
Yeah, and that's where your life is you're going to be headed that way as well. Because when you have it's the ego searching for the answers. So if when we're going, I know we're going to come into that, but this is really juicy, exciting stuff. I love this because when you realize that,
then I started asking different questions.
Yes.
And, I'd heard Tony Robbins say that, and I've written it down in a notebook, didn't give it much thought.
Yeah.
But in this moment, as I was basically crying into my son's diaper as I was changing him, I was like, oh my God, it's what Tony Robbins says. I have to find better questions.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so what are better questions? The first question was, now what can I do? What door does this open up? And I was kind of like, I don't know. I could become a politician. So I was like, no, I don't want to be in the press all the time. And then I thought of another question. Because, I went from negative questions, why me, to a neutral question. Now, what does this open up? Which is much better.
It's much better.
But then I figured out I can ask positive loaded questions. So then I started asking, what can I do to become grateful that this happened to me? And then I felt really fired up.
Wow, that's a big question as the first positive question to ask, because quite often when you're in this mode of victimhood and why me, it's really hard to actually step from that into gratitude. So, wow, well done.
And I really felt like, this is what I want. This is what I want. So, I'm a money mindset person, I was a financial journalist. So it was about the money, also because that was what was hurting me so much, that I had gotten fired and I was worried about finances. So I thought to myself, I want to be rich. Like, I want to be really rich. I was like, okay, so let's make that a goal. If, as a result of being fired, I can become really rich, I will actually be grateful that I was fired. Yeah. And then the next one was, how do I become rich?
Yeah, that's a really good question as well.
Yeah,
how do I become rich? Because then your brain starts looking for the answers, of course.
And then I got really busy, like researching, and I'm good at researching.
Obviously, as a journalist, you that's part of your job, isn't it? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I was trying out Bitcoins as well and other cryptos, which wasn't really my thing. It's too risky. And then I figured out, okay, this is it. After a while, I was like, I'm going to invest in stocks in a really stable way. It's called value investing, and it's the way that Warren Buffett invests. So it's safe, it's stable. Of course, there are always risk involved with investments, but compared to crypto, this is like, I could see what we call the power of compounding, how it would just get better and better and better. I couldn't see that with crypto. I mean, obviously, we know now that it's at a better place today than it was 9 years ago, but it's also much more unstable.
Yeah.
So I just researched, and then I actually, within a few years, became financially free. Yeah. So I didn't need a job anymore. No one could ever fire me again. I was like, it's never going to happen again.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
And this because we talk about this with the importance of social support or support system. And as I understand, we've talked before that you didn't really have a big social, like in your known circle of acquaintances, friend that could support you in this process. But you found another way. Would you want to share that?
Of course. So it's true that I was really alone, both as a mom and in searching for these answers. As a mom, obviously, there was no dad. And also my parents that were older had died before my kids were born. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't have a lot of people to support me at that point. Yeah. So I was lacking the infrastructure around the kids, obviously. But then you have preschool and school. So that was the infrastructure that I got at that point. And the other part, searching for my answers, I mean, if you don't know anyone who's done it, you can go online. Yeah. I mean, so you read books, you listen to podcasts, and I was just like, standing with the swings on the playground. I had one podcast, our podcast in 1 year and the other on my children. And sometimes these jobs as a mom, it's a bit monotonous, so you're standing there, But I was just learning all the time. Yeah. And of course, also being a mom. So if they talked to me, I was there. Mm-hmm. But just focusing on learning. So podcasts, books, and then I started taking coaching and courses. Yeah. So whenever I do these courses, whenever I invest in something, because I've got a mindset as an investor, I always think, okay, that's fine. This is what I invest. When can I get the money back? I always think like that. So if I do pay for a course, and I've paid for a lot of courses, I still pay like I don't mind paying. I paid for a yearly program. I paid $30,000 this year.
Yeah.
So, but I'm thinking, can this? So I calculate how many students do I need to make that money back? Can this program give me those students back? I'm in. I always think, can it be a good investment? So that's how you have to think.
Yeah.
And really, investing in your mind is the best investment. I'm talking as a stock and market investor, but really investing in your mind is the best investment you can ever make. Investing in education, because you are the one making all the decisions in your life.
And then as well, when you work like you do, I mean, you are your product, you are your service. That's what you sell. That's where, I mean, so if you're going to capitalize on your skill set, obviously you need to keep on investing it and keep on doing the work to actually be able to create value for your clients and for the people that wants to pay for your services.
Exactly.
Right.
And even Warren Buffett says that every year he's being asked the same questions, more or less. Young people show up and ask him, what can I do to become rich? Basically, this is phrased in so many different ways. And he often says, well, become the best doctor in your town, if it's a doctor speaking. And invest in you. He says that, knowledge. And the thing about knowledge is that it's compounding as well.
Yes.
So you learn something, and next time you learn something, you have something else to build it on.
Yes.
So with your investment, it builds and builds and builds on what you already have.
Yeah, and I think this concept applies to resilience, because I think that the more basically shit we go through, the more difficult moments we face, the more learnings we get. I mean, the more we can actually, the more resilient we get, and that is the goal line, and that is the wisdom. That's where we stand stronger and sturdier, because the knowingness that yes, if I could go through that, I can go through anything. So just talking about the mind, you're creating a very stable mindset that knows that I can do this. I can continue doing this. And in some way, the difficult moments are sort of an investment if you think the right thoughts and do the right things with that, because that is the key, isn't it?
Exactly.
I saw that you wanted to say that.
Exactly. I was like, it really depends how you treat it, because some people will go into that downward spiral. Oh, this happened, and also when I was 12, this happened to me, and then my mom got sick, and then I got a divorce, and it's always poor me. If you go into the downward spiral, you will not learn anything. So really, and that's kind of a way of thinking, I did this before. This is a piece of cake. Yeah. It's a mindset.
Yeah. 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 And it's a choice. Yeah. It is an active choice, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And one of the most dangerous things is starting to feel sorry for yourself. And it's so human. We all have those weak moments. I listened to this guy, and sorry, I cannot remember what his name is. He's part of the 30,000 program, and actually not him, but one of his team members is. So we're talking a lot about how to make content and how to run a business. And then I saw one of these pieces of content, and he's Christian, he's a preacher, actually an ex-convict. He's really interesting. Jimmy Chang, I think. Anyway, so he said this thing, and I was like, wow, this is really true. He said that the devil comes to you when you're really tired, and the devil will present himself in these questions. So he's thinking in terms of these questions. Why did he say that to me today? And then we would get worse and worse and worse. So exactly the same that I'm saying now. Now, I'm not Christian, but I recognized, he was talking about the negative thoughts and the downward spiral. Yeah. And he phrased it as being the devil on your shoulder, whispering in your ears. I was like, I can see how you could see it that way. Yeah. And you really have to be careful of that devil that is like, why me? I feel so sorry for myself. And it's the most dangerous thing.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think that awareness is super important, to actually be aware, and that's why I think a lot of people end up in those spirals, because we run through life. Most people run through their life. And if there's no space in your life, in your everyday, there will be no space in your brain, in your head, in your being to actually stop, reflect, and think. How is this thought going to affect my life? What actions am I going to take from this thought? And then the question comes, can I think another thought?
Can I ask another question?
Yes. That will bring me to a more empowered state. Because for those, I mean, you've been to Tony Robbins, and for those of you that are listening to our podcast, I know a lot of people have, that you can be the creator of your own life.
You definitely can. But I think you touched upon something important. We didn't really go into it then. Yeah. And that is the jump from why me to how can I be grateful was really big. And I can't always do that. There was one area where I was really struggling as a young mom. I kept telling myself, I'm a bad mom. Yeah. I'm a bad mom. I was like, oh my God, this is so bad. And I couldn't. It just wasn't available to me to say I'm a good mom because I felt so awful inside. I really I was crying and it just wasn't. I was like, I can't say that. Like it's completely impossible. And then I was like, okay, so what can I say? Yeah. And I could say something slightly better. I could say I'm a new mom who's struggling, but I'm getting better. Yeah. So that was available. And then, today I can say I'm a good mom. I'm not always perfect, It's the hard thing, this mom thing. Yeah. But I'm getting there. So sometimes you need a bridge to the more positive thoughts. I think that's really important too.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about is reframing. Very quickly. Reframe your thought, change your thought a little bit, tweak it. What is your second best thought you can think? And also I think what you go into when you have those thoughts coming up, and it's like, because the question comes, and I think many of you listening can, is like, how can I stop those thoughts? And it is a pattern, and it's a program we do have within us that comes from a lifelong of programs that were downloaded from when we were little, before age of 8. So it's really challenging, but it's possible with different methods. It is possible to change those thoughts. But
sometimes it might even be something that we haven't heard, but someone before us heard. So we might even get things from previous generations.
Yes.
Like we pick it up somehow. Yeah. So it might be really even ancestral, I think.
Yeah, it goes in your DNA, transferred in your DNA. I was wanting to say one thing as well. I mean, this is also, I think it's a good thing to sometimes allow yourself to feel like that victim, allow yourself to really break down, to really be in that mode of like, shit, this is hard, I'm struggling, I'm upset, to really allow that, because I think when you actually allow yourself to break down for a shorter period of time, then you can actually come back and build yourself up stronger. So I think it is just so this with actually not allowing yourself to go down that spiral. Sometimes you really have to really fall down into that hole and stay there for a little bit. What?
You can tell from my face. I'm like, yes. This is something new I've realized. It's really, really recent for me. Yeah. And I got this point from another coach I'm working with, and it's shadow work. Yeah. Yes. And she took it like a step further. She says, okay, so we have these shadows that want to experience things. And what she's teaching me is that, we have a soul, and this soul wants to experience things, and not always good things. Like it wants to feel the pain. Yeah. So you have to accept the pain. Yeah. And if you reject the pain, you're going to keep running into the same problem again and again. So, so for me, my devil is speaking most loudly when I wake up early in the morning. Mm. That's when I'm really weak. And for the time being, I'm just lying there in bed, and then I'm feeling it, like really deeply feeling it. And she said, there's actually people who believe so much in enjoying your pain. I mean, this is so it's so mind-provoking to me that they can get, okay, this sounds, sorry listeners if this is too freaking you out, because it was freaking me out a little bit, that they enjoy pain so much that they can get orgasms from giving birth. This is like, I was like, what? I can't. So, but I do recognize one thing, and that is from, for example, doing yoga. Yeah. So when you're doing these long stretches, it's painful. Yeah. And I taught myself to enjoy the pain, because this is, I do the very slow yoga where you stay 3 to 5 minutes in one position. Yeah. And really like meditating on the pain. I have found to be really like challenging and great. So I took that practice from yoga and put it into my little, just like 10 minutes morning routine, just lying there. If I had a nightmare, like that's related to something I experienced, like really going into it, like just allow it to be and let this shadow part of me that wants to feel upset or rejected or whatever it is that's going on, feel it, like really feel it. And the idea is that the pain will dissolve itself, kind of like the pain when you're stretching in yoga, just let it be, go into it deeply. And it will disappear by itself. But the goal shouldn't be to make it disappear. The goal is to really, and this sounds so crazy, enjoy the pain.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good thing, because also, what is the message that comes from the pain? Because the pain is a messenger of some sort. So that's why that's why it will. I mean, when you try to close it in, it's like it will come back because it has a message for you. So the resistance of closing something, it will come and bite your bum later on anyway. So might as well just embrace it and thank it.
Thank it. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that, because if you compare it, really enjoying it with and how can I be grateful?
Yeah.
Later on, after my whole being fired on maternity leave breakdown, I became a Bob Proctor consultant because I really got into this mindset alongside the investing. Because when I started teaching investing, I realized, well, I'm teaching them all these instruments, they're not doing it. Why? Because they don't have a rich mindset yet. Yeah. And that's when I became a Bob Proctor consultant. And Bob Proctor says something that I always struggled a little bit with. And he's dead now, but his teaching lives on. Yeah. He says, and this is good. Like, whenever something bad happens, just say, and this is good, and this is good, and this is good. And he tells this story of how he'd written a whole book, and then he lost the manuscript in a cab. And they had to rewrite the book. And he kept saying, and this is good, and this is good. He was really upset, And then he rewrote the book. It became much better. Yeah. So even when we experience something that's super difficult, accept it. We got to talk a little bit more about accepting as well. Yeah. Accept it and then try to transform it even into gratitude. Mm. The thing about acceptance, David Hawkins, right? And the different levels of energy, I think you call it. So the lowest one is shame. Yeah. It's the lowest of the lowest. It's even lower than hate. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So, you've got several layers, but you've got shame at the bottom. Somewhere above that you have hate, and above that you have acceptance. And then you move into love and
gratitude.
Yeah, and Buddha level, right? So, but the first part is to at least accept it. You're way above the bottom level. You're quite high up, actually, if you can just accept it. Yeah. Acceptance is so important.
Yeah, it's also because I think that resisting what's happening is just going to cause suffering. Because I think that's a part of the human suffering, that we want things to be different than they are. And I love, I don't know if you, Byron Katie's work, Loving What Is. It's just really embracing, loving. I mean, this is what it is now. I just accept, love it. And if I don't want to stay here, then I will just do something differently. Just think a different thought, do something different. But at the moment, there's no point in resisting it, because life is what it is, and love it. Because it is a gift, your life, isn't it? We're here for a reason.
Sometimes we don't have access to that yet. So before loving it, we can at least accept it. Yeah. And then move on to loving it. But that can jump from, being shameful about it to acceptance, it's quite big. And then the jump from accepting to actually appreciating it is also big. I did back then when I went from, I'm a bad mom, why me? Boom, I want to be grateful. That was a huge shift. And it really felt like a huge relief. But as we said before, so sometimes you need these bridges between.
Yeah. But also as well, I think that you said something, it was probably in our pre-conversation before this, but you said that you just had enough. That's why you sort of, you were never ever going to be fired again. You just had enough. And I think that is really quite often when we get to that point, then we're just sort of, I'm just not having it. It needs to change to whatever price. So you come to a point in your life when things you just have to change it because it's too painful to continue be in the place you are.
Yeah, and that's a great point also. And sometimes we really need to hit rock bottom to get there. But then we have to get away from rock bottom. I mean, we have to accept it, feel it, and then get away from it.
Yeah. So all of these, so that thought that you thought that you were gratitude, you were grateful for actually losing your job. At that time that you were fired, you didn't see it, but you managed to think it. And now, 9 years after?
I'm so grateful, actually.
Yes.
I really am. I'm also grateful that I had the job, and because that was an old dream of mine of becoming a journalist, making headlines, being in the middle of everything that was happening felt very, very important at the time. Yeah. But I could also see that I wasn't happy. You know, I'd done it for more than a decade, and I needed to do something else. Yeah. And I couldn't find my way out. I just had no idea. So in order to create a new life, I think I needed to get fired, actually. So today I am grateful for it in some crazy way, because it really was tough.
Yeah, because I think that's the silver lining, isn't it? And it's like you said with Bob Proctor's book, that he wrote it, and then he lost the manuscript, because it's something better in store for you then when something doesn't turn out the way you thought it would be. Then there's something better for you. Because now I want to get to that. Really, you made a big decision of changing life even further to just leave your life in Denmark, right?
Oh yeah, I moved to Portugal.
Yeah.
So that was another big jump, and here we are sitting in Portugal.
Yes.
And Elsa talking about it. Yeah. So the lockdowns came in 2020, and I had 2 small children, so they were like just turned 4 when it all started, and 3 years older, so 4 and 6, 7. And the older one had just started school. He wasn't even 1 year into his first year, and then school was interrupted. And I was home, and I was running my own business, obviously. And I couldn't, because the way I'd set it up was I would write out blog post, and at the end of the blog post, it would invite people to schedule a call with me. And on the call, I would give them my best advice and also invite them to work more with me. I couldn't have the call because I had 2 kids at home in a small inner city apartment. Yeah. And that was so tough. Like leg all over the place. And the first one, it was spring. The second one, it was winter. And on the second one, I started thinking about death again. Like I would wake up in the morning, I would be like, death. Like it's almost not like a thing. It's more like a feeling, like darkness. Like it's really horrible. And then I thought to myself, first of all, I thought, okay, we've been through this, so I need to change something. Yeah. So, how can I be grateful that this happened, this lockdown thing, and this being stuck at home? And I changed 2 things. Firstly, I changed my business. So instead of selling through sales calls, I thought to myself, well, why don't I just try selling through a webinar? And that really changed so fast my business as a coach. So instead of having small groups of 6 people, all of a sudden I could sell to 40 people. Everyone said, you can't, at this price levels I'm working at, you cannot sell directly from a webinar. So I went against everything that I had learned, and I just was like, let me try it. And that really changed my business. I was like, I don't have to have these sales calls anymore. Everyone said I had to, I don't have to. So that was one. And the second was, because part of what was so difficult was waking up. It was dark forever. We couldn't go outside anywhere. There was no school. There were no cafes. If we were outside, we would have these full body winter coats on. Yeah. And everyone's getting wet and crying. And then up in the small apartment with this slush thing on the floor and like the Lego. And oh my God. So I was thinking, like, what do I want? So I wrote it down, like, I want more sunshine, I was like, okay, we're going to move. But why not? I mean, why not? It could be for a year. I mean, what's so dangerous about it? It's like going on vacation, just longer. And then I started, I put down the list of things I wanted. And very quickly I figured out, I want to go to Portugal. I'd only been here once before as a 12-year-old. Like, why not? We could always move back. Yeah. I mean, why not? So we did it. Like, from the moment I had the thought, and obviously there were lockdowns, so I couldn't fly, but I took the first flight to Portugal, found a house. So it was around New Year's that I started being really in crisis about it. And then in May, we went to Portugal, found a house, found a school. It was so easy back then because no one was doing it. I mean,
it's a bit different now.
Yeah, this is a bit harder to find a good spot in a school and a nice house for a reasonable price. But then it was okay. So I got it, and then I just like on the spot. We saw 2 houses. The second one I was like, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want. Obviously, I looked online for thousands of houses, but I could feel it. And the school was a perfect school. The small one is still in that school. It's a really good school. Made some good choices. So, and then we left. I rented the house from 1st of July. So from May to, so I had like June to like settle everything, basically pack everything. And I just got rid of everything except for the things that were like books. I want my books. They want the toy. But all the furniture are just like, they just gave it away. Like, anyone wants a free bed? Here it is. Like, I don't need it. I can always buy more. So, yeah, it was fantastic. So here we are. We have been here we're in July. So exactly 4 years. We're moving into the 5th year. I have no intention of moving back. I mean, maybe one day we will, maybe not. I don't take it like, so it's like a really long vacation we're on. But the kids are happy. Yeah. I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I just read something the other day that the children in Portugal to be a child in Portugal is rated on 4th in the world.
Rated 4th what?
Yeah, on the 4th. They did the rating. Where are children the happiest in the world? And Portugal comes as number 4. Netherlands was the number 1 country, apparently. I don't know how they've measured it, but I just thought it was quite interesting that Portugal actually came as number 1. Number 4.
Yeah, number 4. I wonder where Denmark is on that list. That would be interesting to know.
It was sort of in some social media. So I think it was a UNICEF report or something. So I'm sure it's available to find. But I just thought it was quite interesting that
it's a really good life here. It's safe.
Yeah.
You have very nice weather. And, it's just like people seem happy here.
Yeah.
And the Portuguese culture, I would describe it as a very calm people. Like I never see anyone fighting. I never see anyone getting really upset in traffic. So they're very like calm, rational people. If they get upset, they will not tell you to your face. They're very proud people as well. They're not like the Italians that go, Vaffanculo. I've never had that happen. I mean, I did have once a stupid person saying something, but, very, very rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. So here we are in the studio together, and we've had this beautiful conversation. And I think that already, without like giving any specific advice or like I think that a lot of women have picked it up already. But what would you advise? What from your experience in doing your journey? What would you want to send out there?
Yeah, well, like I said at the intro, like first of all, I think the fertility story is also really important because a lot of women are feeling stressed about their age and, am I ever gonna? So that is actually one very empowering thing you can do today to have children on your own. So, but that aside, maybe you already have children, maybe you're not interested in it. Looking at how you think and which questions you're asking yourself and really thinking about, not just writing down that sentence from Tony Robbins in a notebook somewhere and then moving on with like, but really like noticing when you wake up in the morning or when you're falling asleep or you're meditating, like what are actually the questions I'm asking myself, because our mind is like it's like a machine that's searching for what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You have to control that machine.
Yeah.
So that's really important. And then the last one is like, please figure out your finances. A lot of women just, they feel like, no, I'll meet a rich man. Or maybe they have a man that will invest for them and then they get divorced. I meet a lot of those women too. Like they got a divorce. The man had put all the retirement saving in his name. She has no retirement. I'm like, please figure out your finances. Do not depend on a man, even though if you're happily married. Figure it out. It's like, there are these things in life, like we really have to look at it. Like you have to look at your thoughts. You also have to look at what's coming in, what's going out. Look at it. Have a money date every month with yourself and learn to invest. I think it's so important because things will happen in life. There will be detours. We all have, for example, when my mother died, it was a slow death, unfortunately. And I really wanted to be there at the hospital. But I couldn't because I had to go to work. If I had, they turned off. She had a stroke. She couldn't eat anymore. and they turned off the machines, and she had 1 week left.
Oh, wow.
I had to go back to work. Like, I had to go back. Like, I would even have signed my work to have that last week with my mom.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So things happen in life, and it happens to all of us. We will not go through life without detours, and our parents will eventually die. It happens. Somebody else we love might get sick or get cancer, and we want to be there. Create a life where you can do what you want. If it's going for the fun stuff like moving to Portugal and surfing. I don't surf, but a lot of people here do surf. Yeah. And just being with your small kids, or being there for someone who's going through a tough time. Create a life where you can do that. And you need to figure out your finances in order to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. That's beautiful, beautiful advice. And thank you so much again. And thank you for all that been listening to this podcast. And just really all information about how they can get in contact with you will be found in the podcast notes. And also some of the books that we talked about, because we mentioned some names. So I thought we'd probably just put them in there as well. Some are known, some maybe are not known to everyone. And I think that the best takeaway from this one is just really the mind comes with you wherever you go. So you cannot move location or move somewhere. You have to deal with your mind, because that's part of you. So just work with your thoughts and be more aware of your thoughts, right?
Exactly.
So maybe start to do like some journaling in the morning and to catch yourself in what you're thinking. And you will definitely change and transform your life, because that's what we're here to do, I think. So with that said, thank you. Go out there and just continue shine and be resilient. Until next time, look after yourself.